5,
But let's do this, man.
3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Oh my gosh, is that Carbon? Is that Eidolon? Let's talk about that. Sergeant Floppy on Rampage, Pochapa on Muriel, Rustris on Severog, Yo, a Mikey on Gadget, and Undead Pilot on the Space Police Officer, known
King. Is he
as Murdoch.
The Doc, ladies and gentlemen. King Sarathos is on Howitzer, the Rat Namek Elite Scopes is on Sparrow, the Patriot, Rockin' Chimera, MA6. Is it Ma? I'm just going to call him Ma on Grux. And Tricks for Kids, rocking the Deckers.
So, we have Rangers. We have two of them. We have a Decker, we have a Howitzer, but more importantly, we have a Severog. I absolutely love Severog and actually think he's a widely underused hero. Do we know what the bands were, Sir Joshua?
I do. I know them. I'm going to get them.
Okay,
Hold on.
Sweet. So
Richter and Iggy for game number 1.
Richter band. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Who would have thought? The Iggy band, no one's surprised. Let's be honest here. No one's surprised by that. But the Richter band, I find that very interesting. It makes me so happy to see that people are starting to respect the Richter. But so, Severog looks like he is going to be put in that solo blue lane position up against that Grux. Severog, of course, has that wonderful farming mechanism of his soul siphon stacks. His shoulders get bigger and bigger until he gets all the way to linebacker status at the respective 20, 40, 60, and 80. The hallmark of a great Severog player is not only be able to land his roots and his snares consistently, but more importantly, it's balancing that vision of getting those stacks whilst at the same time not tunnel visioning and making sure you're a presence elsewhere on the map. So we're definitely going to be talking about that as the game goes on and keeping Rustris under a microscope as he tries to get those shoulder pads growing and a-growing.
And Rustris is... Severog, we see a lot of Severog's jungle. Personally, I jungle him a little bit. You jungle him. A lot of Severog's jungle. I actually like Severog in lane. Severog is a bully in lane. If he's landing those siphon hits, he can actually stack more effective in lane as well. You've got to fight. Go ahead, buddy.
That's not a fight. That is. I think that's murder in the second degree right there is what that was. Sergeant Floppy just comes in there and with his entire 8 megabytes of storage capabilities, hits him with the rock and kills the Sparrow. So Sparrow, man, a very small margin of error when it comes to positioning on Sparrow, and we saw exactly why. No means of escape, has to be very, very careful, and unfortunately, there's not much you can do when that Rampage comes around the corner and meets you with a big boulder to the face.
I like Tricks for Kids, though. Tricks for Kids is like, Sparrow's dead, but I'm going to be aggressive.
He's just in there. He's just in there, man. He's like, this is my lane. I'm the carry here.
Get out of my lane, jerks. Love it. Way to go, Tricks.
Let's talk about this mid lane a little bit. This matchup here in the mid lane. Gadget versus Howitzer. Two heroes that a couple months ago were considered the worst heroes in the game, and now that we're here, are actually considered mainstays in the competitive scene. I love that it's been that switched up. Oh, King, you might get dethroned. I don't know if he's aware that Floppy's hanging around right here, but nonetheless, he's got to be very, very careful, else he might find himself going back to his core as well.
Yeah, there's no ward there. He's just kind of floating around right now. Sergeant Floppy's waiting for him to extend a little bit. Here comes UI Mikey with the gate. There's going to be the knockback, but Floppy goes with him. We're going to see the boulder. We are going to see the boulder. It does look like King is going to end up
Look at him blocking him so he couldn't jump down. Look at Floppy blocking the Howitzer. He couldn't jump over him and juggle him around. Beautifully done right there. You know, we didn't see any jungling in game number 1 of the last series we were casting. Apparently, we're not going to see jungling either because Floppy says, screw the jungle. I'm going to go farm heroes.
Which is working out well so far. We've got 2 kills right now. I love that Howitzer tried to jump over Rampage. Well done. So we were talking, I've seen some people, Rustris in lane over here, he's actually starting to he's doing a good job with these siphon stacks. He's picked up a health pot, a mana pot, and a strike token. We've seen a lot of players, when you get in lane, you do the double strike token.
Righteous.
Or the double cast token, so you can make sure you're able to hit those last hits. Because he's using Siphon is very mana heavy early game. This allows him to make sure he's able to maximize those that Siphon farm in lane. So it's I want to watch him a lot. I want to watch him in lane, see how he does. Big smash and grab from Ma over here. Rustris isn't going to take a ton of damage. That was more to clear the lane.
Yeah.
And Ma to back off. Ooh. Big ultimate. Ma is so very low. He's going to be able to hit him with that root.
Nope,
he's
didn't have mana for it. Didn't have mana for it. I think he just slightly underestimated the damage on his ult. He possibly thought that he could have killed him off with the what I like to call the batter up. The Babe Ruth, just the home run,
So-
if you will, but nonetheless.
Shane,
Hello.
does Sparrow have a prime card, or is it a bug?
That's probably a visual bug on your end.
Okay,
That is
so
a
you can see
visual
it on
bug
your end?
guys. Yeah, she is primeless right now, unfortunately.
So I think it's just a visual bug that we have.
Yeah,
that we
yeah. I
have.
think it may be a visual bug.
We'll have to ask. I'll have to ask and find out.
Is it a visual? Do you have a visual bug?
I do have a visual bug that it's not there.
It may be a visual bug. So, talking about the red lane here, you have Muriel and Murdoch, Eminem, if you will. Unfortunately, not quite enough Mom Spaghetti. Pushing down in this matchup versus a Decker and a Sparrow. So, the Muriel, people, I think, sometimes obviously, Decker is a very offensive support. She has the stun, she has the slow bubble, a lot of control. People widely think Muriel is sort of the converse to Decker in the sense that she's much more defensive. But we see it at the top level. Muriel, beautifully done there, right there. Is Yo and Mikey got aggressive with the Howitzer and actually was able to finish him off in the middle with the long arm of the law. But going back to the point, Muriel can be played in an offensive manner. More so enabling the Ranger to get offensive with the speed boost and so on and so forth. So you can't underestimate that. As Tricks for Kids in a lot of trouble, Muriel goes around there, gives the speed boost to Undead Pilot. They're looking potentially for the kill. One or two more auto attacks. Tricks for Kids can, oh, he does get taken out. And like, right as I was saying, Muriel has that offensive potential. They display it, and down goes the Sparrow as well. Beautifully done. And 3 people are here. The Gadget is here for wave clear. Are they going to be looking for this early push? They potentially could, as we do see the Patriot is going to try to get himself over here to defend this, but it's a Chimera, not necessarily the best wave clear in the world.
Yeah, he may want to be careful. I mean, Yo and Mikey, and they are backing off. Man is very low. Life is at half health, so they are going to back off just to be safe. Smart play. They're securing the kills, though, which is great. We know as the game gets a little snowbally, if you will, you get those kills, keep them under farmed, and then when you decide to pick up that black buff and actually go for a push, it makes it a little bit easier because they're not able to defend effectively. Rusterus is down here warding very defensively into the enemy jungle, make sure he's not going to get caught out from the rotation from the Patriot. So far he's done a good job. He is, what are his stacks at? Does he have any shoulder pads? No shoulder pads yet. About 7 minutes into the game. I wish I could see his Siphon stack. Unfortunately, we can't see that just yet. But we're seeing a much different game here. I mean, a lot of rotation coming out of Sergeant Floppy, helping secure these kills. Yo and Mikey has been a very aggressive mid lane. But this is going to be... When do you think we're going to see a push? Are we going to see a black buff and then a 10-minute push here?
I think maybe around the 50-minute mark.
Patriot has to be careful down here. Tons of damage coming out from Sergeant Floppy. He's going to try and leap. There is a rotation coming down onto Yo and Mikey.
The Decker stun. He does eventually go down the mirror ult on the Rampage. Rampage has gone into Harambe mode. He's looking for the stun onto King. He is going to be able to get it. Not sure if Howitzer has that ultimate. There it is, the ultimate, the defensive ultimate. He should be able to get onto the high ground. They got to make sure they get out of there. Onwards we go. Tricks for Kids. He's not level 5. He doesn't have his ultimate. Down he goes, and just like that, 4 go down here on the side of Carbon EU. Tore him apart. Mid lane is the target. They should be able to pick up this tier 1 tower.
Shane, how did Howitzer die?
I believe it was a long arm of the law from Undead Pilot.
Okay, I didn't see it on my screen. I just know he was up in the air, and then he was not up in the air anymore. So I didn't see the long arm of the law come out there.
You went up, and then you were down.
All right, well, that used to be a hero. Good rotations coming out from Carbon, though. A solid rotation coming out from them. Able to rotate in, secure those kills, and push a tower. I mean, tier 2, they're going to back off the tier 2. Card power advantage. We've got 18 card power on Rusterus, Mikey, and Undead Pilot. 15 for Pochapa and Sergeant Floppy. I mean, they are starting to get a big advantage. I mean, we're 9 minutes in, and card power for Scopes and Sarthos is only at 9 right now.
Yeah.
So we're already starting to see that early game lead.
Yeah, that's the big thing about Sparrow, man. I love... This is, I think, why a lot of people consider Rampage to be one of the best heroes in the game, is his early game presence is just unparalleled. It really... I mean, it's pretty much between Chimera and Rampage, right? Who both have very... They jungle in a similar way that they rely on their health regen to keep themselves, their uptime on the map very, very efficient. But Rampage is inherently up all the time. It's not reliant on auto attacks. Also, Rampage, as long as he has that much more... long form. The CC isn't quite as reliable as Chimera's, because Chimera's is a targetable one, whilst obviously the Boulder you could potentially miss that. But I think any good Rampage player is going to be able to consistently land those boulders while it's still in the laning phase, and they're always worried about the wave of the minions, getting last hits. Your focus isn't necessarily on the Rampage, so you can sort of throw your opponent off. So that early game from Rampage is just opened up so much potential for them, and a little bit more potential could be opened up here. Unfortunately, the Patriot is more than likely going to be taken out here as he tries to use the Cole, but doesn't even have time. He's going to get taken out as well. Yo and Mikey standing his ground. But yeah, the Rampage play, I think, just opened up this game. They got the momentum. They're not letting it go, and I love that they're doing that.
Yeah, being very aggressive. Good rotation of those guys there. Able to secure that kill onto the Patriot. Tricks for Kids is going to be able to land a stun. Yo and Mikey trying to be aggressive here in the mid, but they are just going to back off. They've got this early game firmly in their hands right now. Sergeant Floppy is now farming the enemy jungle. They've opened up the mid lane for him to allow him to free farm more effectively in enemy territory, which just denies Patriot from getting that jungle farm that he needs to be a real factor in any of these team fights. Like you said, the uptime for Rampages and Chimeras, that health regen, I mean, Floppy really doesn't have to ever back. He does have a Shaman's Drink, so he is getting additional, he's getting the mana regen, so he's going to have mana for those boulders when he jumps out to...
I love that.
Pick up those ganks. So, and that goes up every level. So he has health regen in the jungle. He's got his mana regen, possibly picking up a blue buff here. I think he picked one up early. He does have the black buff. They could dive a tower if they want to.
Yeah.
He's getting. Is he clearing out this ward, or is he going backline to get aggressive? He's going to get aggressive.
Oh, he's getting aggressive. I mean, it's level 9.
Aggressive.
Level 9. He's feeling fine. They should be able to pick up this tower very, very easily. And Grux is like, well, I need to get away, but I can't use normal means of transportation, so he's just going to go fall into the jungle. At least he didn't fall into the trap right there, but that tier 1 tower is going to fall. That's 2 tier 1 towers down, the only one left available in that red lane. But again, we talked about how before the Orb Prime changes with the saddening removal of the turn-in mechanism, that the blue lane and even the mid lane, to a certain extent, weren't nearly as important as the red lane. But now that the Orb Prime can be taken so much easier, and it immediately gives you the bonus of the Prime card, that there certainly is a lot more value in taking out these towers. And it opens up the potential for them to completely ward this area of the jungle here, take away that vision, and just sort of slowly pick away at a potential Orb Prime pickoff if they are able to play that and play around that. And the converse to that is their opponent is always concerned about the Orb Prime being taken. They have to check it, but then they have to worry about the red lane. It just really is a way to spread the opponent thin, if you will.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about in the past when the Orb Prime, before the Orb Prime changed, we saw a lot of emphasis on the red lane. We saw, I mean, you would see these grouped up team fights. You'd pick up the black buff. 4 people would push down this tower, try and get that tier 2 tower.
Guys caught out Sparrow using that long range of the turret. Trick some Kids is going to keep him alive, though. Unfortunately, the Rampage was a little bit too far off. Back to what you were saying, Notch.
We used to see a ton of emphasis on the red lane strictly because you had that dunk mechanic, but I think we've been seeing more emphasis on the blue lane, where they try to make sure the solo lane over here has been pushed out, so you could pick up that Orb Prime a little bit more effectively. It allows them to ward a little bit deeper into enemy territory. Like you said, it also allows them to counter ward. Yo Mikey is going to get caught up by the Patriot here. Here comes a reversal of fortune onto Yo Mikey from Pochapa. Knockback from King Serathos. Patriot is so low right now. He's going to have to be careful. I don't know if the rotation is going to come from MA6. He's going to back off. Are they going to continue to be aggressive? They are. There's the slow. They are going to be able to get underneath that tower. I don't know if they're going to be able to secure these kills here.
They got to be careful. They got to respect the smash and grab from the Grux. Rust just now rotating. Root's not going to land. And also, pushing into a howitzer is always a risky proposition when you know that when his ultimate is online there. Making it rain.
That's such a scary ultimate.
It's so good. His ultimate is the reason why he has the best late game presence of any one of the casters. Is that last barrage. If you stand in that last barrage, you just take a huge chunk of damage right here. Howitzer in his own right, very, very good at defending towers. Not quite Iggy level, but he's still very, very good. As the Gadget, they're going to push this forward. By himself, can he defend against it? Not so much. Not when you have 3 people gunning down. And meanwhile, on the left-hand lane, they are able to pick up the tier 2 tower as well. So the momentum has just really, really spiked here for Carbon EU, and they are playing so phenomenally well. They are not giving Eidolon 1 inch. They're just laying it on. They're laying it on thick. Tier 2 towers are down. They can just pretty much dictate the flow of this match. Continue to push, fall back, do an Orb Prime. No matter what, they're in a phenomenal position here, Notch.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at that again. Take a look at the card power. Howitzer can defend lanes pretty well, but when you've got a deficit 27 card power to 12 card power, it makes it very hard for them to be able to do anything. And we're still seeing aggression come out of these guys. They're pushing up to an inhibitor. Tricks for Kids is going to fall. MA6 is going to have to back off. But we're still seeing that aggression come out of these guys. Boulder is going to miss. Are they going to dive an inhibitor? Is that what we're about to see?
You know what,
15 minutes into the game.
I'm feeling the dive right here. I'm really, really feeling the dive. They got a tanky front lane with the Rampage. Of course, Sevarog is inherently tanky as well. Now, the wave clear available on each side here. Pushing against a Grux. They don't have their whole roster with them here right now, especially Gadget. Gadget is the big wave clear on the side of Carbon. They don't have that Gadget there, so I'm not necessarily sure if necessarily they're looking to push the tower here, as more so they're just looking to make sure that Eidolon can't leave this area and try to push down other lanes and just continue to asphyxiate them.
Yeah, Yo and Mikey with a split push. This is a much different game than what we saw in the previous round of games here. We're going to see these guys again constrict the jungle. They're taking out this harvester. There's not allowing them to pick up that 400 amber for the rest of the enemy team here. And I say 400 because as it fills up, amber spills out the side. You can actually pick that up, and it's a total of about a 400 amber is what you can get for your team. So they're not even going to allow them to have that. We're seeing really decisive plays coming out of Carbon EU. They get kills, they get objective, and then they go and do something else. They farm the enemy jungle. They take down harvesters. We're most likely going to see a rotation over here for the black buff because it is up. Yep. Undead Pilot's going to come and pick that up right now. And I'm just waiting for an Orb Prime play. Orb Prime comes into effect, and we see another push. Yo, Mikey, very aggressive. He's split pushing so well, rotating to each one of the lanes, making sure he's setting those lanes appropriately. He's taking out those ranged minions in the back.
So that's how you talk about that, Notch. Tell us why he's only isolating the ranged minions.
So it allows that slow push. The enemy teams, once you the ranged minions do the most damage when it comes to the minions. Take out the ranged minions, you allow the wave to build up. A lot of people, you'll see them take out 2 sets of ranged minions. So they'll take out the ranged minions in the first group, and we'll see people rotate back to that second group that's marching up and kill those ranged minions. That way, as your melee minions are fighting, your second wave of minions is going to group up. And eventually that turns into a snowball. And as we've seen in some of these lanes over here, if you take a look at the red lane, they've got 2 sets of ranged minions for the coming now for Eidolon. So their lane's going to be set in their favor. It just allows minion management is what this allows. And when you go to take an objective, when you go to take the Orb Prime, the team has to worry about, are we going to lose a tower because we don't have the lane set?
Yep.
Are we going to lose an inhibitor?
That is a mechanism that we haven't seen in quite some time. It was in the game, then it was taken away, and now it is put back in again
with a force.
With such a force. Even Spock. I mean, Spock's clearing levels would just be completely off the level, but we won't get into that very much here. They're starting to get aggressive here. Them being, of course, Carbon EU, as they know they have the lead. They've been laying on the aggression thick, and they're not going to let it go right now. So I believe they have set the lanes in their favor. If they haven't, they got to be careful. They turn around and find it. Tricks for Kids. There used to be a Decker there, Notch. I'm not entirely sure. But Tricks for Kids gets taken out only level 7, 19 minutes into the game. You're looking at a level 11s across the board here for Carbon EU. Decker really hasn't been able to get any good containment fences off, and that's the reason why you pick up that Decker. That containment fence is devastatingly strong, especially in tandem with Howitzer's ultimate.
Yeah, we've only seen one reversal of fortune, by the way, come out from Pochapa. So we're talking about the containment fences, but at the same time, we've seen such a dominating display from Carbon that Pochapa's only had to use his ultimate 1 time. Lanes are currently set for Eidolon, but Orb Prime picked up now for Carbon EU. They already have a huge card power advantage and level advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be GG right here. Do we see them group and push mid lane? Elite Scopes is trying to take out a tier 1 tower. He's trying to get something happening on the other side of the field, but he's got to be careful because Rustress is rotating over.
He's been farming his heart out, just saying, "Team, just give me some space, and I'm a sparrow. Just get me to the late game, man. Maybe I can get something going." But even then, they got to be very, very careful about that, as Rustress has shown up And we know that this is not going to be very good for him right there. Rusher is going to land the root. Elite is just trying to get the tower. Batter up right back into the tower. And down goes Sparrow. I think that's just that desperation play is symbolic of how this game has been going. Carbon EU performing so very well on the shoulders of Sergeant Floppy's phenomenal rampage, and just overall very, very good and well coordinated across the board here. 20 minutes yet again. Inhibitor under siege. And, man, I love seeing Gadget being utilized in such an efficient manner. Using it as the wave clear and then following up. Undead Pilot, not knocked under the inhibitor. I thought it was going to be the case. That could have been a big play right there from the Howitzer. But Orb Prime has been activated. We see that. And into there, the containment fence is just going to catch minions out. Not going to be the case. They're going to focus down the inhibitor. They got to be careful. The inhibitor's going to go down. Here comes Howitzer, but the ultimate is just a little bit too late. As Rampage goes forward, and they're so low. He's hitting them. He wants to hit him with the boulder. There it is. Takes him out, and the long arm of the law. 1-2, the precision on point here from Carbon EU. Get the inhibitor, get 2 kills, and they might be looking. The blink shot up to the high ground, and Tricks for Kids gets taken out by the Undead Pilot Ranger. Beautifully done right there, and they could just push the core right here potentially.
Yeah, we've got 3 down on the side of Eidolon. We tried to land that boulder. Yo and Mikey being very aggressive here. Orb Prime is still activated for about another minute, and that should be GG.
They're going in there, man. I think this is going to be a complete converse. A complete converse to game number 1, especially with the King once again being dethroned. Sergeant Floppy. What an impressive game. Rampage. Of Rampage right in. Carbon, official game time. 21 minutes and 35.